Welcome to the Real Estate Entrepreneurs Podcast.
Welcome to the Real Estate Entrepreneurs Podcast. Today we have our friend, Ben. How you doing, Ben?
I'm doing good, man.
Do you go by Ben or Benjamin?
I have friends from high school that call me Benji. My family calls me Ben. And then I have clients that call me Ben, Benjamin, Benji. Goes by everything.
Good.
Everybody calls me everything.
So let's start with this, man. How old are you?
So I'm actually 17. I turned 17 March of 2022.
Wow.
Yes,
wow.
sir.
So you were 16 this year.
Yes, sir, I was.
Wow.
Yes, I was.
So until March, you're not 18.
Until March of 2023, I turned 18.
Are you driving already? You got your driver's license and everything?
Yeah, so funny thing, I was listening to one of your other podcasts, and you told me how back in your home country you started driving at like 14.
Right.
And that was the normal. And same thing for me. It wasn't legal, but my dad wanted to put me and give me that experience right off the bat, so I started driving since I was 14.
Here in Houston?
Here in Houston.
Wow.
All around Bel Air, all around the city. I'm good behind the wheel, but when, like Caesar said, if you put me on a GPS, and I'll still find a way to miss an exit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Incredible, man. So how do you get into this marketing? Because you're a marketer, right?
Yes, sir.
How do you get into the marketing world?
So it was during freshman year of high school for me. So around 2020 was when school shut down. The pandemic just wiped everything out. And when school cut out and they told us, there's no more school for the rest of the year, and we had 2-3 months left of the remaining semester, I realized how much time I had on my hands, right? So school would cut out. I could wake up at 11 a.m. I could just watch TikToks all day until like 8 p.m. You blink and the day is gone. And I just felt in my body, in my heart, and in my mind that I was being extremely unproductive, and this wasn't me because I like to work. I like to stay busy. I find fulfillment and joy in serving people and getting stuff done. So with that said, I realized, okay, what can I do with this time? I could either exercise or I could find a way to make money, because at that moment, I really, really, really wanted a MacBook, right? So I thought about cutting grass, but the thing is, I lived in an apartment at that time, and we didn't have a grass cutter, nor did I have money to buy one.
Right.
So that was kind of off the table. So I went on YouTube. Every classic online entrepreneur goes on YouTube. How do I make money online? So I came across drop shipping. I, opted into funnels. I watched those 3-hour-long webinars, all to get pitched a $20,000 program at the end of it. So that was off the table. So, and then I looked into Amazon FBA, which is also a form of e-com. I was like, oh shoot, this requires capital to start as well. And I was like, definitely not doing that either, because back then I had such a scarcity mindset that I was scared to spend $20 on Shopify to start up my, website or something. I was scared to spend even $7 on a masterclass to teach me about the business and everything.
How do you change that?
So it took a while, actually. It came to a point where I realized I had to tell myself that, hey, you're really not all that. Because back then, I thought, I'm into business. I'm trying to start a business. I'm better than everyone else. So ego was definitely something that held me back a lot.
So you had ego?
Yes.
A scarcity mindset?
Yes.
And no money?
Everything at once. So it was detrimental, and it wasn't until a year later where before we get into what happened a year later, I then came across another YouTube video about a guy who started a marketing agency, and I'm pretty sure everybody in the marketing space knows him, but he basically, the way he sells his self on YouTube was all about serving your clients and serving other people and watching them grow. And I was like,
who is this guy?
His name is Iman Gadji. He's a big online
Okay.
marketing agency. He sells courses, has an agency, everything like that. And I was like, I want to do this. So I started binge watching his YouTube videos. I binge watched other YouTube videos, masterclass free videos on YouTube on how to start an agency. And that's when I was like, okay, I'm going to go all on this agency, because this is something that can not only benefit me, but it can actually benefit the people that I work for or my clients as well. So, that's when I start learning how to cold call. And I still remember my first cold call. My goal for that, my first day of cold calling, was to set one meeting, to set one appointment so I can pitch them, right? So the way it worked was, I woke up 8 a.m., tell myself affirmations and all that, BS. And I go into my dad's closet. I sit down, pull out my phone, going on Google, searching up chiropractors near me, started dialing every single one of them. And I still remember the name of the first. So I would do that for about 3 hours a day, 6 days a week for the next almost 4 months. But going back to the first day, I was about to give up. So my 3 hours was almost over. And I was like, dude, let's do one more, just one more. It's not gonna hurt, right? I called up the last guy and I set him an appointment for tomorrow. And that's when I was like, okay. And then, I start watching people do sales calls on YouTube, how to close people, how to sell, everything.
Who are you watching?
It was a bunch of people, but there's a lot of like sales coaches in the marketing agency space that I would just watch a bunch of their calls, recorded calls, selling people and closing them. And I would try to memorize what they were saying to better, to just copy that and try and close my appointment for tomorrow. Funny thing is, I never closed him. I followed up with him for the next year, almost 2 to 3 times a week for the next year. I still couldn't close him. So, just dropped the ball there. But going back a little bit more, so 3 months, closed my first client, but I still continue to follow up with them. The first client I closed was actually a mobile mechanic here in Houston. I closed him for $300 a month. And my offer was to manage his social media. So at this time when I started, I didn't run any ads yet. I strictly pitched him social media management. I'd grow his Instagram, get him followers, manage his posts, all that. He stayed with me for about 3 months, and he just didn't see the direct ROI, and I totally understood. So I finally let go, and then I brought on a few other clients, and those clients with me absolutely took off. And those clients were in a different industry, which they were car salesmen. So they stayed with me around 6 months and beyond. And that June, so this is around 2020 now. Oh, no, this is, 2021. So it's June 4th, 2021 was when I invested in my first coaching program. So from September of 2020 to June 4th of 2021, I had no mentor, no coaches, just straight YouTube.
You were winging it.
Yeah, just straight winging it, see what happens. And I hated it. It was just so hard because I had no sense of direction. It was very inconsistent. The leads were just not there. I would have to put in 4 or 5 hours a day, 6 days a week to close someone for only $300 a month, which to me at that age
it's a lot of money.
Was a lot of money because all my friends, they think they're millionaires with just $100 in their bank account. I'm like, I have 4 clients at $300, so I'm making around like $1,200, something like that a month. I'm on top of the world. Right, so that's where the ego kicks in and just starts biting me in the behind.
Yeah, you can say the ass.
Okay, it bit me in the ass, and these clients stayed with me. One of them actually left the car sales industry, and then he transitioned to starting a drop shipping Shopify store. So he's like, dude, can you run ads for me? I've been a client of yours. I shot you a testimonial. I've given you some referrals here and there, and I was like, dude, sure, let's do it. I was like, how much do you want to, what's the highest you want me to run your ads for, right? So obviously whoever spits out the price first loses. And in this way, I kind of thought that I lost because he cut me down by 50%. So I only took $150 a month from him for the next like 3-4 months.
Okay.
And then he stopped that. It wasn't going as well. Like he was barely breaking even on our ads. So he let go, went back to college, goes to U of H now. And we talk occasionally sometimes, just catch up on him, see what he's doing. And then fast forward, then I couldn't do this anymore because I was working too hard for so little money, and I was just tired, exhausted, mental breakdowns left and right, hustling like an animal. And then June 4th, like I said, I finally invested in my first coaching program. It was $3K, around 3,100 because it was 2,500 euros. Convert that to USD, it's around 3,100. Invested in that, and I made my money back in 2 weeks. And I'm like, holy shit.
Who was the coach?
So this is a really interesting story. So he told me he was actually a marketing agency coach from the UK, from London. And he's not well known. He's super small. Like, he has like 5 students probably.
Okay.
And going on to that, we moved to. So he told me he was from London, but then he would WhatsApp me. Turns out he's actually from Romania. So I was like, okay, there's something off with this guy.
It's a little sketchy.
Yeah, a little sketchy. I'm like, something threw me off, but I mean, I made my money back. I put in the work. Some of the stuff he's telling me is actually working.
What did he tell you? Did he teach you?
He taught me a lot. He taught me how to get leads on the phone, how to focus on closing people, how to deliver the service, and keep
So
your
basically,
clients
he
happy.
helped you build confidence.
Yes.
To close.
Yeah. Confidence to close. He taught me from A to Z the structure of how an agency should be ran, which was a bit different from the way other people taught me. But at the end of the day, I don't regret that purchase. I regret the second purchase I made from him, though, which we can get into that a bit later. But I made my money back, and I was like, okay, I wish at that moment, I was like, okay, if I could go back a year of my life, and just, I'm 14, 15 right now, so
Right.
I'm not that young, that old. I was like, I would invest in a coach a lot sooner.
Right.
So that was the biggest lesson. That was one of the first lessons that I've learned. If I want to go into something new where I have no clue, find somebody that is actively doing it and can prove it. And then number 2, pay them so you don't have to go through the trials and errors that they might have gone through in order to achieve success
Right.
to where they're at right now.
Right.
So yeah, and then it was going good. I was closing clients. My clients were happy. I still remember the first client. She was a realtor over in Virginia. So Hampton Roads, Virginia, I think is what it was. We ran Facebook ads for her. We got her some listings here and there. And my operations were all over the place because at that time I've only been focused on sales. So I like to do the front end stuff, the acquisitions, and I wasn't good at operations, so I didn't really know how to manage her. I didn't know how to set expectations correctly, and she left us. So I was devastated. So we brought on another client who was a wholesaler over in Florida, Tampa, actually. The leads were just so much better, and this was my first wholesaler I ever got. The realtor in Virginia was an agent, but my first wholesaler was a guy in Tampa, and we were getting leads. We were getting really, really good leads for him, and he had a 9-to-5 job, so he was never able to follow up with the leads, and that really got to me, right? Because, I work so hard, me and my team, we work so hard to generate these leads for the clients, and they don't follow up with them. So it makes me really mad because I end up getting bit in the behind as well. So I took some time and I realized it's like, whose fault is this actually? Should I, sit down and blame the client for not following up with the leads? Or should I blame myself? And I wondered, okay, how can I possibly take responsibility for this? And my answer to that was I didn't vet the client properly. So now, where we are right now, we vet all of our clients' processes to make sure they can actually put in the work, because them paying us is great. The money is great. But if they're not going to put in the work to actually generate deals, get properties under contract, it still bites me in the long run anyways.
Yeah, because they'll drop. They'll leave.
Exactly.
They'll say it doesn't work.
Exactly.
And it's them that they don't work.
Exactly. So you can either tell the client that or you can take responsibility for that.
Mm-hmm.
I chose to take responsibility for that. It was my fault for bringing that guy on. And I understand it, why, because I was desperate. I wanted to make more money.
But sometimes you need some of those guys to fuel the business, right? And
Absolutely.
at the end of the day, it's not your fault if they don't follow up and convert their deals.
Absolutely.
It's not.
Absolutely.
You did your part.
I did. 100%.
You generated the leads.
Absolutely.
They didn't call and follow up. Shame on them.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then you're right. They'll leave. So I'm the same way.
Absolutely.
I don't take on people that are dabbling.
It's just not worth it.
Not worth it.
not
But
worth it.
I think if I would be starting and I needed that money to fuel my business,
Yes.
yeah, I'm going to try to see who I can help.
Exactly.
But if they don't convert, hey, it's not my fault. It's your fault. So
Exactly. So where we're at right now is we vet everybody in their sales process to make sure they can actually put in the work. If they have a job, who else? Do they have a wife or another family member that can work the leads? And then we see, we just have to make sure that whenever I bring on a client, I want them to work with us for years. I'm not here for the 6 months, 8 months.
yeah, you want
Anything.
you
I wanna
want
work with them for years. I want
long-term
them-
relationship.
Exactly. It's just another misconception in the agency space that I see is everyone's focused on selling, which is important 100%. But then there are also the people that forget about their clients. Like, hey, they deliver a terrible service, and that's what bothers me
You
so
need
much.
fulfillment.
Exactly. You need to keep your clients happy. And this is something that I learned from one of my favorite YouTubers or business influencers. His name's Alex Ramosi. And the way it worked was I'm in this mastermind with a lot of other agencies. It's like 600 other agency owners.
What is the name of it?
It's called Agency Lab.
Okay. How much is it?
The starter program is 10K. The mastermind's 36K over 12 months.
Oh, so 36K over 12 months?
Correct. So it's like 3K.
Also,
a month.
$3,000 a month. Yeah.
$3,000 a month. Correct. And Alex Ramosi came in and did a interview kind of, and the entire 40-50 minutes, his statement, the message he was trying to convey to us was keep your clients happy, because that's how he grew his company. He kept his clients happy to where his clients would refer him over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And that's the easiest way to scale. So I adopt that mindset. I'm like, this makes so much more sense. Focus on keeping your clients happy, and then sales will just be an inevitable.
Right.
So I just shifted everything to focusing on my back end. So for the past year, we've just been focusing on improving the client experience, getting better leads. How can I just make it unreasonable for a client not to win when they work with us? And lo and behold, we see clients coming in, getting contracts 2-3 weeks, and just signing them, flipping them. If they can't dispo, I connect them with other investors that I know. And this is exactly why I go to events like yours, Ricardo. I met 3 or 4 people from your event that helped my client dispo deals.
Imagine if you would have been on stage.
That's exactly why That's exactly
because you were in the audience.
Exactly. I was in the audience. And one of the guys, Brandon Simmons, he told us, because I met up with him. Well, I didn't meet up, but he reached out to me. I think it was December of last year. He saw the stuff I was doing, because whenever I get client results and client success, I always post it on my Facebook. And he reached out to me. He's like, dude, I love what you're doing. Your clients are happy. Why don't we hop on a call, right? And he was my sort of gateway into getting in touch with influencers. And fast forward, I would show him, hey, my clients are getting this. He would shoot us clients, referrals, appointments, everything. And I met him at the event finally. He referred me people there.
I love Brandon, by the way.
I love him. Guy is such a go-giver.
He has a group called the Go-Giver. The Go-Giver Mastermind. And I go there.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know. I try to go as much as I can.
Yeah. One of my goals was to actually speak at one of his events at the Go-Giver. I was like, Brandon, if you're open to it, I actually believe that I can provide so much value to not only you, but your students as well. So sometimes he shoots me his students so we can get on a call and talk about running ads. And then I'll just shoot him a referral fee. And it's just that collaboration that I love so much whenever we go to events, when I go to events like yours. Because if it wasn't for Brandon, I would have never learned about your event. And if it wasn't for me going to your event and shaking hands with all these people, I wouldn't be going on the podcast that I am right now. My clients wouldn't be closing the deals and making money to get out of their 9 to 5 if it wasn't for pretty much Brandon, because he's shifted my mindset about everything. Going into this year, one of my goals was to get on some of the top real estate podcasts and meet the 3 guys from Wholesale Hotline. That's Pace, that's Jamil, and that's Brent Daniels. Pace and Jamil, I met them at a Keegley meetup here in Houston. I think it was in May. It was sometime in May.
Yeah, I wasn't here.
Yeah. And then, so I met...
Shout out to Pace and Jamil, by the way.
You guys are amazing.
I love those guys.
Yeah, I get so many students from their coaching programs, and they succeed so much better than other students, other clients that aren't in coaching programs, because they have that guidance. They have that community that they get from those programs that help them succeed. I love Sub-2 students a lot. Like 80% of my clientele are Sub-2 students, and it also helps with conversion of the leads. So that's why I love them so much. And then going back to another one of my goals, so it was to meet Pace, it was to meet Jamil, and it was also to meet Brent. So
I never met Brent, believe it or not.
Really?
I've been to Phoenix hundreds of times.
He's taller than I thought. I'm not gonna lie.
I never met him. I saw him at an event in San Antonio a couple of years ago, and when I was gonna go reach out to introduce myself, he was gone already. So I haven't had the pleasure.
That's so something about that. When I go to these events like yours was one of the first big events that I went to. I went to one meetup before. That was the one where I met Pace and Jamil. Your meetup was the first actual real estate event. And I saw like Carlos Reyes, and I'm like, should I shake his hand? Should I
always
shake hand with
just
this
go
guy?
every time?
Exactly.
Every time you go
Exactly.
and you see a guy that you like or that you look up to or whatever,
Exactly.
just go say, man, thank you so much for what you do. My name is Ben. Is there's anything I can do for you? You know, whatever, however you introduce yourself, right? But yeah, don't hesitate.
Absolutely, and that's the biggest thing. I'm like, I'm just gonna bite the bullet, shake his hand. What's the worst that can happen? Always think of that. If I'm ever scared to do something, what's the worst that can happen? They can laugh and blow me off. Okay,
They won't.
Exactly.
Especially Carlos.
Carlos, the guy.
He will never do that.
So passionate and so.
Carlos is my
giving.
brother, bro. I
love him.
I love Carlos. Man.
I love him.
Shout
so
out
much.
to Carlos too, man.
Carlos Reyes, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I shook his hand. I got a picture with him and everything, and 5 minutes with him, just a quick 5-minute conversation with him, solved one of the biggest problems in my issues, and that was what to look for in good talent, in A players. So just 5 minutes with him did that, and I got a picture with him and everything. It just made everything worth it. So I made a commitment to myself that every event that there is in Houston, I'm going to go to it. I'll block out my schedule and go to it. And it's really for opportunity, not only for me, but for my clients as well. Mm-hmm. Because the last thing I want is to be another lead gen agency. There's thousands of lead gen agencies out there. Why should they choose me? Well, it's the experience. I always tell them it's the experience. You need help with something, let me connect you with this guy. You need help with this, I'll connect you with this guy. I had a client yesterday who's in Pasco County near Tampa. It's near Tampa. So he works in Pasco and Pinellas County. He had a deal that we got him through PPC. It's a seller in probate. And he had a complicated issue. So I was like, I went to the event with Tony Romero, the Hustle Harder event. That was an amazing event, and I couldn't have met him without your event. So it just all links together.
Yeah.
Going on, I remember at Tony's event, there was a guy named Al Nicoletti.
He was at my event too. You didn't see him?
I probably was in the hallway talking to someone.
Maybe, yeah. He spoke on the first day, probably around noontime. And he spoke a whole hour about probates. Yeah,
so yeah, I remember like, so I reached out to Tony. I'm like, Tony, dude, I got a client who's struggling with a probate deal, and I remember Al Nicoletti was at your event. Do you think how can I put my client in contact with him in order to work? So Tony literally connected me with him, and I'm gonna connect him with my client to help them get that deal. And that's something I've never seen another lead gen agency do, because I'm willing to go above and beyond to make sure my clients are happy and they're making as much money as possible whenever they work with me. So, and this all just ties back to improving your client experience. And just keeping your client happy so they stay on with me as long as possible.
Good. So let me ask you. So you just graduated high school, right?
Correct. Yes, sir. I was actually in so I graduated, so technically on paper I graduated August 1st, 2022.
Okay.
However, I didn't get my diploma until about 2-3 weeks ago. Okay? 2-3 weeks ago, whenever my counselor called me and was like, "You can pick up your diploma." I was in Phoenix. I was meeting Brent. I was meeting Raphael. I was like, I can't pick it up. So I have a younger sister who's a year younger than me who does still go to school. I was like, "Hey, can you pick up my diploma? Can you just go to her office and pick it up?" She was like, "Yeah, sure." So she picked it up for me, brought it home. Second I came home, boom, my diploma was on my desk. I'm like, wow, I worked 12 years for this sheet of paper. Then I just put it in the room and almost forgot about it. Not even.
Wow, you didn't go pick up your own diploma. So
Yeah.
so you just graduated high school. You're 17, and you already have an agency. How many people do you have on your agency?
Are you talking about team members or clients?
Team members.
So including me, we have 7 people on the team right now.
Okay.
Correct.
And are these guys virtual?
Correct. At the end of the day, we're all virtual. I don't have an office yet.
Right.
I got.
If you don't need one, then you don't
yeah,
have to have one.
Yeah, it's I had a thought last night right before I was to go to bed. Maybe we can not an office, but like a team mastermind, a client mastermind.
Where are your team members located?
So I have I got 3 in Nicaragua.
Yeah.
No, I got 2 in Nicaragua, not 3. I have 1 in Kenya. Let me see, so Sam and Terry. So our lead managers are in Nicaragua. We have 2 media buyers. 1 is in Kenya. The other one's also in Nicaragua, so that's 3 in Nicaragua. And then, so that's the sales side. And then we have our operations manager in Mexico. Her name's Laura. And then we had an appointment setter who's in Quito, Ecuador.
Okay.
Yeah, so all virtual, all South American, but most of them speak perfect English. 2 or 3 of them are actually from America. One was from Laura, is actually from North Carolina.
Okay.
And Terry, who's one of our lead managers, actually from Maryland. So they understand American culture. They understand Americans are a little weird. But yeah, that's the team for you.
Good deal, man. So you got 19 clients. You told me earlier.
19, correct.
Before we started the podcast.
20 tomorrow.
How much revenue are you bringing right now?
Okay, this is a funny question. So let's talk about last month. Okay, let's talk about the past 2 months. So in July, we did 36, and last month we did 30.
30,000.
Correct.
Now,
30,000.
the 30,000, does that include ad spend or that's just management
retainer
fee?
That's just management.
Okay.
Fee. Correct. We switched our pricing model a bit, where we used to do a lot of painfuls, where they could pay 3-6 months up front, and then in August, and we switched back to a monthly installment model, because whenever we calculate the ROI of a client, because we have trackers on everything and their return on ad spend, the numbers just look better when it's broken down to monthly installments. It's also easier on the client, so they don't feel that pressure, because that's the last thing that I want. But yeah, we kind of we made a few changes in the past few months ever since I got out of school, and things have just been rising up and up and up.
Good for you, man. Are you still on the mastermind? The one that you mentioned earlier?
Agency Lab?
Yes.
Correct. Yes, I am. I was looking at another mastermind earlier this week. It's another agency mastermind where it talks about how to level up your client experience even more. Because I think my client experience is good, but like there's always better, right? So this one is another guy. He's been trying to close me for a while, but I love being pitched, but I'm not easy to close. It's I think it's 6 months, $15K. It might be worth it, but I'm still doing my little research on him, see if I'm ready for that.
Yeah, and what do they teach there? Client experience?
Yeah, client experience, onboarding, offboarding, setting expectations, a lot of the back end operation stuff to how to streamline everything clean and click up, project management, all that stuff.
Yeah,
But,
it's worth it then.
Oh, definitely. It's
So how
just
come you haven't signed?
that's a good question because I'm doing another one-on-one tomorrow with one of his students to see because I like it's like a referral to see if it's actually ready. So yesterday on my way to the gym, I just sent him 1,000 for a call for an hour call tomorrow at 11:30. So I will be doing the call with him, clear things up with him, learn some things from him, and then if it sounds good, I'll pull the trigger. But yeah, that's I love investing. It's a tax write-off too, so
Yeah.
yeah. So it's always fun investing yourself. But what people do need to realize, I know I'm going sidetrack off of a moment, but what most people need to realize is whenever you invest in a coach or even a program, it's not like you put in money and they spit money back at you. You actually have to put in the work. You have to take action on the things that they tell you and stop questioning it. So that's something that I do want to add on as well.
Yeah, it's important to take action. If
100%.
apply knowledge is power. It's not knowledge is power. Not knowledge alone is nothing. It's just knowledge. But apply knowledge
Absolutely.
that's taking action. So, so what's in the future for you, man? Like what do you see yourself going in the next year or so?
That's a good question. So in the next year, well, let's slow down a bit. So by the end of this year, we should be hitting around 100K a month.
Okay.
And that's where I can, step out of the day-to-day operations. I don't have to do the sales, the front end closing, enrolling clients anymore. I don't have to focus on the back end of doing meetings and conducting, client check-in calls. So I can step away and I can focus on higher leverage tasks, which can generate more revenue for the company, such as content, starting podcast, putting out content for my clients, just all that higher level stuff, hiring, training, all that fun stuff. And then once I turn 18, the agency should be delegated, where half of my day can focus on the higher leverage task of the agency, and the other half can be focused on starting a real estate investment company. I asked myself, how am I going to do that? Simple. Find a coach, pay him, and take action.
But what do you want to do? You want to do wholesaling? Do you want to do buy and hold?
Yeah, that's a good question. So in the beginning, I definitely want to do wholesaling because, as you said at your events, wholesaling is like a entryway.
It's an ATM.
Yeah, it's an ATM into real estate. So I want to start off with wholesaling, scale that, and then ultimately the long-term goal is to own up commercial properties because that's where all the money's at.
Right.
Correct.
Well, money's everywhere, but you got to pick the one you like.
Absolutely.
And for some people, it's single family. For some other ones, it's multifamily. For some other ones, is strip centers. For some other ones, is storages. There's so many of them. So
absolutely.
So you pick one, and that's the one you like, and you aim for that, and you go for that.
You have to stick to it. Correct. Yeah, the shiny object syndrome used to get to me because I'd see one person doing buy and holds, and I'd see another person flipping this property and doing all these cool before and after pictures on their rehabs. And then I'd see another guy like Grant Cardone or something. It's like, oh, I have 400 units, $100 million. I was like, I want to do that. So I think I need to take it one step at a time, and ultimately the long-term play, or quote unquote the exit, is to settle down in commercial multifamily units, multifamily apartments.
Amazing. Well, Ben, thank you so much for coming in today, man.
Absolutely, man.
Your future is very bright. I can already tell.
Absolutely, man.
And I'm looking forward to see you in the next event. Guys, next event is attendgrowth.com, okay? February 3, 4, and 5 at the Westing Memorial in Houston, Texas. That's the Energy Corridor. Right now, we got the VIP tickets on special. With a buy of a VIP ticket, we're going to give you 1 month of Prospector Web free. So it's a bargain, okay? I'm looking forward to see you there. Ben, thank you so much. You'll have a great day.
Absolutely.
That I just met for the first time about a week ago. Now, if you're watching this podcast, this is coming somewhere around November or October. But I've been following Nathan for quite a while because we're friends on Facebook. My pleasure, man. So who are you, man? Where do you come from?
Well, I was born and raised in Texas. I was born in San Antonio. I moved to Houston when I was 10.
So at that time, I remember there was a guy, Jeremy Moritz, man. He was wholesaling. You remember him? Man, that that guy was a beast, bro. Like if he showed up on a house and you were a wholesaler and you were gonna go talk to the seller, he was there.
And then I was off to the races, man. I had met Tom a little bit after that, and we were just pumping out the bandit signs. We would go